It's good to be here again. Kelly, I'm so excited to spend the next 30 minutes with you. I'll have you just do a little brief introduction here in a minute. Hello, everyone. We kind of laugh about this, like this is like the Saturday morning cartoons wherever you are in the world, but this is Green Adventures coming to you with Saturday morning lives. And we laugh about this because Tara and I we're going to talk about adventures, we're going to talk about misadventures, we're going to let it all out. But we also bring lots of information to you and hopefully answering questions that you might have or things that are on your mind. I'm Tracey Seward, and I'm coming to you today, not from Chicago, but from Seattle. So it's a little early morning. I was just telling Kelly, I wish I could be outside. It's so incredibly beautiful here in Seattle, Olympia, actually, but it is pouring as would be expected. Um, and I know I've been on these and we've done these, Tara and I, for about a month or so. But for those of you who might be joining us live today, for me, I'm a tour leader at Green Adventures. I lead our Machu Picchu, Peru, Cusco Colors, which I'd love to talk a little bit more about today too. Kilimanjaro, if you're a hiker and interested in climbing Kilimanjaro. And I've done so many of the Green Adventures trips as well. I think probably something like 16 or so trips. Iceland would be some of my favorites. Kelly, I can't wait for you to tell us how many you've done and what your favorite is. And Tara is not with us today because she is in Baja. So she's leading a tour. If you were with us last week, she actually was live with her hair blowing in the wind outside, sitting on the patio. She can't do it today because there is just absolutely zero signal on the waters today. So Kelly, I'm so excited and grateful for you to be here with us today. You have a
Thanks for
ton
having
of
me.
experience. I can't wait to hear what you want to share with everybody. I know you've got a couple decades of experience with Bo, which you might talk about here. And then maybe some of the tours that you lead as well too would be good. So
Yeah.
take it away.
Mhm. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly VanLaanen. And funny thing of how I came to work with our awesome team of Green Adventures women is that Tara and I went to the same school way back in the day for college. And so we met over 30 years ago in college. And I started working for the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program, and Tara went off her own way. And so we hadn't seen each other in a while until Green Adventures and the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program started working in partnership. And so one of the tours that how I started was I went on the Costa Rica tour with her. And this was back in the day when Tara was doing everything on her own. She was a one-person team. And so I was in a bunk. We were in bunk beds underneath. I was underneath her and she was on the bunk above me. And I started kicking the bottom of her bunk and saying, "Let me help you." And so that's how she was finally, we were in
That's a
peals of
great
laughter,
story, Kel.
and that's how I started. She finally broke Tara down and said, "You need a team of people. This is important stuff. Let's get this show on the road." And so uh, now we've got a big giant team of awesome,
Yeah.
bold, wonderful women team. And so that's kind of how my time with Green Adventure started. And now I do things like lead the tours for, I usually start out about a month in Costa Rica, and then we have the Hawaii tour and Honduras in Roatan, and then wherever else she needs me. So Iceland, I've done some of the Wisconsin tours, the Isle Royal, and other paddling tours. So wherever she needs me is where I
Is
go.
where you go.
Hmm.
So let's. I'm glad you said Hawaii. What's going on in Hawaii right now?
Oh, yeah. They are
Right?
having the biggest eruption that they have had in over a decade.
Yeah.
So in Volcanoes National Park, they are on, I think today marks their 13th, they call them sessions, 13th or 14th session. And so it's been erupting for probably about 2 months now. And usually it's down within a little crater where you can see all of these different cracks and crevices of lava and actually
Mhm.
flowing of it. But they're having bigger eruptions where they're actually creating columns, and the columns are so big in the eruptions that they're bursting above the rim. And
Those are
so
crazy.
yeah, it's phenomenal. The volcano and lava viewing there is
Yeah. The
spectacular.
reason I raised that is because, and I'm so glad you mentioned Hawaii. Hawaii is one of our new trips that Tara has designed over the course of the last year. And that was a tour that I know you were going to lead, and that tour
Yeah.
didn't take place. We didn't get critical mass this year. So next year,
Next year.
right? That's for everybody that, was interested in Hawaii, was curious about Hawaii next year. And Costa Rica is another one. That's a place I still also haven't been. And I know, and I hear it all the time. And I actually had a dream about it a couple nights ago. And so I know Tara is actually talking about that trip again as well too. So Costa Rica is a very special place.
Calling
I
all
understand.
birders. For
Yeah,
Costa Rica, all of our birders and wildlife viewers, it's one of the trips where you are really out in the middle of the wilderness. So you sleep in
awesome.
posh glamping areas with mosquito nets out over the outside of you, and you're literally immersed in the the jungle. And so at night you can hear all of the critters and insects and monkeys and other
Some of
things.
my favorite.
Yeah,
Tara and
yeah.
I we recorded one night when we were in Tanzania in the Serengeti. It was one of the glamping adventures of one of the safaris, Green Adventure Safaris. And we started to record because we talk about what you just said, right, Kelly? And the sounds at night. And we were recording the lions and the zebras and the water buffalo. And we were just laying there knowing we were safe, but just saying, we don't want to forget this moment, right?
Yes.
So and I won't ever forget. I'm glad you mentioned where you started and how you started with Green Adventures. And I'm in Seattle. I'm in and I just the smells of Washington State. To me, it would be wonderful to have some adventure out here as well too. But my first tour and the meeting of Tara was a student tour, and I'm here in Washington State with my daughter. My daughter just got married last night, and it was a Trinidad and Tobago tour. And so again, I just to go back in time and where Tara started, and for everybody, we kind of drop this each week, and I almost forgot, right? Where did Green Adventures begin, and how did it begin? And you said something that I loved, Kelly, right? The experience of Tara doing it all, and you giving
Sure.
her a little nudge in the behind for real, that it's
Mhm.
growing, and she could use some support. But it did start with student tours, and this is where I remember meeting Tara, I think 2015 or so. And the plug that I'll give everybody out there is what dream do you have? And we say this every time we get here, and what idea, or a place that you want to go, let us know. It's Tara and I that are in wherever we are in the world that has said, oh, what if we went and did this? Would you be interested in this? And she's like, let's go and let's make it something. So that's how our new tours always come to life, I feel like. And speaking of new tours, then I want to ask you a couple questions, Kelly, as well. Like knowing what's on the minds of our people. Just a couple of commercials for everybody. And we said this, and we've got this in our communications. If you're not part of our email address, drop us a note on Facebook and we'll get you signed up. But you'll see all of the latest and greatest tours in our mailings. But all of our summer tours are confirmed. We've got Peru that is the end of summer, right? The September that has been confirmed as well too. And then the other thing that we've been talking about as well is the new things that we've been developing. And Tara has been developing, there's probably a better word out there for it, but minis. And so they're at a different price point. They're a shorter time frame if PTO is a concern, and they're weekends typically. And it's another whole adventure. Maybe you want multiple adventures per year as well too. So the minis are coming to life, Wisconsin, and there's a couple of others that we're dreaming up. So stay tuned. Lots of new
Yeah,
stuff
so
always on the horizon.
you're going to see your tour leaders are going to be developing minis in areas where they're localized. And for me, that's the Great Lakes. We have And then my background is in environmental education, a lot of paddling. And so you'll see maybe some sailing up in Bayfield or some paddling on the Great Lakes or local rivers here. And then I also have a background in foraging and uh, all things outdoor recreation. And so you can potentially see some of that coming to fruition. But it's hard for us to develop those and put a lot of effort into those without knowing what people really want to do. So if those of you who are online and are available, let us know what you want to do, because then we can develop those and make sure that we're really giving you what you would like to see.
Yeah. It's only a dream until you make it happen. Just put it out there. So thank you for plugging that. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions because one of the things we said we would talk about today, and I think we even raised it last week, is there's so many adventures and different tours, and a lot of people ask us, gosh, I don't know which one to choose. And one of the fun things, Shauna, that I know that you've developed, you're out there with us, and maybe you can share it with people, but it's in game format. Like, I like to do X, press a button and you end up with the tour of your dreams, right, from a green adventure standpoint. That's a little bit of the gamification, but the question I get, I'm gonna share like how I get it, Kelly. It's a lot of times people are like, gosh, I see your pictures, I think it's so cool, it's so amazing, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
typically the I don't know. And, and sometimes it might be, again, because Green Adventures has so many different types of tours. It may be, am I physically fit? We can talk about that a little bit later. Do I have to be? Or I had somebody say, I'm not really a, fully an outdoor person, right? Completely, as much as I think you are. But the question is, um, is a Green Adventures tour right for me? And that I want to flip it to you. I'd love to see how you respond to that. And then maybe I'll share a little bit of what I usually do too. But please
Sure.
go ahead.
So for me, there's a couple different factors that go into that. But you don't be intimidated by our background and our experience, because anyone can join these tours. Even if you don't consider yourself an outdoorsy person, if you've always wanted to see the Serengeti, or you've always wanted to dive with sea lions or something like that. I guess shoot for your dreams would be my number one thing. Look at the tours over in general and say, I want to do that one. And then talk to one of us and say, am I physically fit enough to do this? What are the accommodations like? Do you think this is a fit for me? Because you're going to be talking to the people who are the experts and who have done these things. Um, but another thing to consider is your physical fitness. So there are some of our tours that are going to be keen for more physically fit people, like climbing Kilimanjaro is one where you're going to need to have a certain level of physical fitness. But we have tours that are designed for everyone. So there are tours like our Tanzania tour. You basically all you have to do is be able to ride in a truck. To be able to go and see the Serengeti, and you're sleeping in really beautiful,
Yeah.
lush accommodations with this
Beautiful. Yeah.
lovely food and this crew of people that are just so welcoming. And with that one, you're getting such a cultural experience. So think about the things that are most important to you. Do you want to see wildlife on this tour? Then there are going to be certain tours that are going to be right for you. Are you looking for more of the adventure spirit? There are going to be tours that are designed for you. Or are you looking for things that are more of like a soulful, mindful things? There are tours for that. So, the really cool thing is that Shauna, who is on live with us, you can't see her right now, has developed a quiz. And when she first sent this out for us to test pilot, I took this quiz probably 15 different times because I
Same.
was like, I thought it was so fun. And so I recommend that you do it. It's posted in the comments if you would like to do it. But so you can go on there and she's thought of everything. Are you looking to be really super physical in your tour? And it's gonna wheedle down our
Yeah.
tours a little bit. Are you looking for more culture and arts versus more outdoorsy things? And it's gonna wheedle down our tours. And I recommend taking it more than one time because you're probably gonna, if you answer just a little bit differently, um, Shauna was just at Bow with me in February. Tara was there as well in February, and we were showing it to the people at Bow, and I retook the retook the thing, and I got 3 or 4 different tours. I just find it so fun. I highly
Yeah.
recommend that you do it.
Yeah. And I think what I love about it is it's the questions, by the way, that it's Kashana, I'm not undermining how amazing and cool it is, but I love that you've picked the questions that our people ask us that we
Mm.
know actually drive them to the tour for them. And I think Kelly, that was so good the way that you described it. There's not much more I would have even add. And a lot of times, if there's anything else I would say is we're also always in life, we're in seasons. And and so I will have conversations with people, like, if it's because it could be simple physical or, cultural or wildlife or birding or whatever. There are sometimes seasons in life. And there's a couple of individuals that I've talked to around Peru and some of the magical spiritual aspect of Peru, or even a mindfulness tour. And the season in life that those individuals are in, it was the perfect tour and the perfect opportunity to really touch the spirit and the soul. And so that would be the only other thing. So it's again, where are you at, in season of life? I think the other thing that I would add, there is, and you said the word accommodations a lot, and I like that. And so accommodations, right, could be physical accommodations, where we sleep and where we stay, but we always have the ability to accommodate. And the Machu Picchu, Peru one is a great example that I would share. There is a lot of amazing, beautiful cultural food, things that are much more gentle. And then there is the Inca Trail, and the Inca Trail is incredibly physical, and it may or may not be for an individual that really wants to go to Peru, but we make accommodations for that. And so when, the group, we will split if we need to split, and we'll create a day tour so that, if the Inca Trail is not your thing, and that we do that in many of our tours as well, to our Kelly. So just the accommodation,
Yep,
we will
absolutely.
accommodate, right? So, and then
Yeah.
physically, if a Kilimanjaro is up your alley, that is one of my tours. The other thing that I will say, and I get this all the time, gosh, I don't think I can be ready in time. We can have the conversation, we can talk about what the training plan is, and I will tell you one way or another whether or not I think that you're ready to go. But we've got our arms around you from a training perspective, getting you ready for that as well too. So yeah,
Not only just training wise, social wise. I think one of the
exactly.
biggest barriers that people have to coming on a tour or even just going on a vacation is they're afraid. They're
Yeah.
afraid, am I going to make friends? Am I going to jive with these people? Am I going to feel supported? And I just cannot encourage you enough. Every single tour that I lead, people become lifelong friends. And so not only is it something that you should do for yourself and you're experiencing, you're making your dreams come true. Number one, you can draw on this, anytime that I'm experiencing hard things. I just had my soulmate dog pass away. And in all of that grief and sorrow that I was experiencing, I was just thinking about I can draw on all of these awesome experiences with all of these amazing friends that I've made throughout all of the tours who have reached out to me and said, I saw what happened. We're so very sorry. And so
Yeah.
I felt their love and light the entire time that this was happening. Um, but not only that, uh, you're you have us there to help bridge that and make those things happen. So you'll have those people that you're going to make these awesome connections on. So it's not just an experience that you're going to have during that moment. It's going to be something that you're going to have for the rest of your life. It happens on
Yeah.
every single tour. You're there with other people and you're experiencing um, all of these amazing, beautiful things. And it's nice to reshare that in times that you really need it in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that. I just, and I, for those of you that are out there with us, I know Kelly and I are just, we're dancing with the support and the accommodations. And there's so many more things on my mind as well too that Green Adventures provides. But if there's anything on your mind, feel free, drop us a comment. And we'll take this conversation wherever you want to go or just say hi. I think, Kelly, if I think about myself, I've shared this before, right? I was in the consulting world for several decades, and what does that mean? I was traveling all over the world to go see clients, so I was all over the world. I was a solo traveler, and for me, I remember there were so many times wherever I was at in the world, Singapore, somewhere beautiful, wherever it was. I'm like, gosh, I just wish I could go hike or walk or do whatever and have somebody with me. And I would definitely have my work colleagues that I would meet up with. But it was what I was accustomed to, very much a solo traveler. And I get this a lot from people. I don't know. And I also am a solo traveler. And so it's almost the opposite, right? And so I don't know about traveling with a group. I don't know what this is like. I don't know if I'm going to like this. Am I going to be able to have my own private space if I want my own private space? And I think you're answering that in kind of a little bit of both ways, but I don't know again if you know people come um solo. Most of our travelers are solo. You won't leave solo. And you're saying that. You might leave and go home and get on the airplane solo, but you don't leave. I find this with I honestly 100% of the people that I'm traveling with now, you aren't alone. And I
Yeah.
don't know again if there's anything else you would add, but you're saying it right now, and I want to just bring it home. So
I don't want to scare away those introverts because it's not that you don't have your own personal time. You definitely do. We're gonna make it to what you're most comfortable with. And we have those people that are really, really quiet and they're going through their own things, or they just
yeah,
really appreciate private time. And we can accommodate to that. So
that's
that's
good.
no problem. If you want to walk on the trail and have a little bit more of your own personal journey, that's okay. But if one of the things that's hanging you up about this is I don't have friends going with me on this, this isn't a lot of times this is your jam and you don't have your local friends or you're in your friend group, that's not what they do. They want to go shopping or they want to go do something else. This is something where you're going to have meet some people that are doing what you want to do.
Yeah. I thank you for bringing that home because again, for me, I remember one of my first women's tours with Green Adventures. I thought to myself, again, solo traveler, and I don't room with people typically, right? I don't, and so I am the opposite now. And so,
Yeah.
and I did, but you have a choice, in a Green Adventures tour, you absolutely have a choice. And I know I've worked with some people even just this week to say, do you have single accommodations? And we will typically always, if they've not been sold out,
Mhm.
even hiking, you can have your own tent if we can get it ahead of time, right? And rent it ahead of time. So that is there. But I'm just putting the plug in as well too, Kelly. Like I definitely was a solo traveler. And I just remember the first time thinking, oh boy, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be like. For me, it's a very positive experience. And I really enjoy being with a roommate, even a tent mate, as I've done Kilimanjaro, and I will do Kilimanjaro with a number of women here in June. So yeah.
That's on my
So
list.
yeah,
That's on my list. You
get to get that
that's
knee
one thing
fixed.
we all get addicted to. So we lead
Yeah.
tours and this is our job, right? But Shauna was one of the people that kind of we talked about this in February is that you have a job and you're making money, but then you're investing it straight back into the business because we see tours that were like, oh, I got to do that one.
I got on the airplane and I found myself like this general level of just super excitement coming out here to Seattle. And I fly back home tomorrow and I'm like, oh, what's next for me? Right. So you get that little bug and addiction in yourself as well, too. But
Mhm.
so again, going back to the dreaming up tours, like let us know, drop us a point in the comments if there's something on your mind as well too. I will say, Kelly, one of the things that I have talked about, it was one of my first solo trips and it wasn't with Green Adventures. And it was just, I'd read a book, I'd seen a movie, and this was a long time ago. I just thought to myself, I'm going to go hike the El Camino de Santiago in Spain. And I remember everybody at work saying to me, that is insane. I don't know why you're getting on a plane and going by yourself to do that. And I'm like, you have no idea. It was one of the best things. And it was, the beginning of, in my mind, the next adventure bug in me. And I've done that now a couple of times. And that's something else that Tara and I are talking quite a bit about. So, yeah. So, Kelly, do you have a favorite location
Oh, that's so
right now?
hard. People always ask that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it depends. For me, I have come a long way in the world of diving. So I had gotten certified way, way back in the day. I think probably 25 years ago. And then here in Wisconsin, we can dive the Great Lakes, but there isn't, there's shipwrecks and there's definitely cool things to see, but it's not like being in an underwater tropical environment. So when I went back to Roatan, I don't know, maybe it was 6 years ago, um, I to lead that trip, I kind of deep delved back into the underwater environment again. And so I really like things that are trips that have
Water.
diving and underwater
Yeah.
things. So I went back to school and became a dive master and became really involved in teaching diving and doing coral restoration and then also doing underwater cleanups like Project Aware, which is like a scientific underwater cleanup, has the geek in me fulfilled. And so I like that, but I like them all for something different.
Yeah.
So in Iceland, our tour leader, Inga, she's phenomenal, and you just want to package her up in your suitcase and bring her home with you because she's so sweet and lovely and wonderful and dynamic and then Iceland is like being on another planet. It's just
It is.
spectacular. Uh,
Sometimes I say it's like, you're in Harry Potter land. Then sometimes I say
yeah.
you're like in the moon. Then I'm like, it just, you're in some unicorn land. It's magical too.
hmm
Yeah.
And then I have a life list for birds. And so I like to add to that. It's kind of an addictive thing. And so when I do Costa Rica, I am always trying to check off more onto my life list. And so it's hard to choose a favorite. Um, yeah,
Because you've got a
that's
lot of
hard.
favorite things in life. These are my favorite
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and
I'll
Tara's
tell you.
developing one that I'm really interested in, which goes way back to my roots, which has with local farming. And so I grew up off grid in Swamico, and we did harvested our own foods, and then had a hobby farm. And so that's one that it will be really near and dear to my heart.
Kelly, I didn't know that about you. That's awesome. It
Hmm
reminds me of and I remember the last time I was there and went to the tomato farm. It's a tomato in Iceland, which I know
Oh,
you've been there a number of times. Every time I go there, I say, I think we should do this, Tara, back in Chicago. I don't know if it would ever happen or not, but that is incredible
yeah,
to be
I
sitting
love
there
that.
eating the most
And
amazing, yeah, tomatoes with
I'm right now
tomatoes
I'm
growing.
developing a huge garden and we have fruit trees. So we're doing one of the things that I learned in Costa Rica, where one of the facilities that we went to, they kind of changed over what their purpose of the facility was. And so I'm adapting skills that I learned there to my yard here to make it permaculture. So it's basically providing for my family in a year-round way and utilizing the space that I have to give to both myself nutritionally and my community. And so we're developing beautiful gardens and fruit trees and things like
Oh,
that, so
Kelly.
that we can, and those are things that that's part of, I've learned lifelong skills on these tours that I can bring back, and when I'm not doing these incredible tours, I can do them here at home.
Yeah. I might live in the core and heart of the city of Chicago, and I do live downtown Chicago. But I grew up, you just are bringing back a lot of memories for me as well too. I grew up in an incredibly rural, amazing space in Indiana, and my great grandma, we did live from gardens that great grandma had, and she washed her hair with the rainwater. And I'll never forget when I went off to college. I was the first and to go off to college in my family. And she sent me this shoebox, and I thought for sure it was going to be a shoebox of candy or something. Who knows what it was? But it was vitamins and herbs and everything. And everybody
Yeah.
in my dorm was like, "What is this? This is not what we thought we were going to get." But that is just deep in the core of me as well too. So I'm super.
Yeah,
I
and
love
some
that
of
you're
the
doing that.
classes that I teach I guide tours for Green Ventures, but I also teach for the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program,
Yeah,
one of our partners. And one of the things that I teach is a home apothecary that you can make your own
right.
herbs and medicines. So those are things that I like to bring into when I am leading a tour as well, talking
I'm
about.
gonna find you. Drawing salve was one that she had that none of us can find the recipe to this drawing salve that she made.
Oh,
And
so
I'll never forget, like, even when my kids were growing up, I'm like, I wish I had that drawing salve when they had a little splinter or whatever it was. But
it's probably made out of pine. So there's a
yeah,
sap sap that, and you bring up your grandmother. So I have a recipe book from my great grandmother who also did her own home apothecary. And so those are some of the recipes that I use for making different teas and salves and lotions and things like that.
yeah, Kelly, I think we should share some of this as
That,
well with the group because
that'd be
I mean,
fun.
I'm selfishly interested more now as well too. So, and I know we're coming to the bottom of our half hour, and I just thank you for joining this morning. And I can't wait. I'm actually going to I can just feel it and smell it, even though the windows aren't open. I can smell the pines here in Washington. I'm going to get out and take a walk. And this was meant to be whether or not, you've made a decision on what tour is right for you out there. That wasn't necessarily what it was, but it was to inspire you. And Kelly, you said it, and I want to say it again. We are out here. We are real human beings out here to pick up the phone and talk you through whatever is on your heart's desire. And it may be even fears that you have as well too. This is what physically, whatever it is, questions about it. Am I right for a tour? We're out here to answer those questions as well too. And so a really special day for me, for all of us out there tomorrow is tomorrow, International Women's Day.
Mhm.
And I dropped a message yes, I think it was last night or whenever it was. I've lost track of time now. Wishing all of you a happy International Women's Day. The theme this year is about inspiring action and action. And so, again, if there's anything that we can do to help inspire action, to help you make your decision on where you want to go, what you're dreaming up, let us know. Kelly and I are out here, Shauna, Tara, the entire team. So thank you very much and have a great rest of the weekend.
Happy
See
International Women's Day,
you,
everyone. We love you.
see you next
Celebrate
weekend.
yourselves.